We're getting into the home stretch here. The last honoree I get to introduce, which is Dr. Waldo Concepcion. But before I do so, I want to make a couple of other introductions because we have 4 liver research centers in Northern California. I was and I'm blessed to be working with the Stanford team, but we have a UCSF table with the UCSF team. Please stand up. Excellent. We have a CPMC table. CPMC team, stand up for us. And the last but not least is not here is UC Davis, but UC Davis is a key part of our Northern California team. Is there anybody here from UC Davis? I'll make sure. But Chris Bolus is the chief of GI and hepatology there, a great person, leader, individual. And then one more introduction before I get into Waldo's little personal history and get some slides up. I want to introduce Dean Lloyd Minor. Dean, if you could stand up for us from Stanford, Dean of Medical School, and his wife, Lisa Kimmy. Lisa, be part of this team. We're very honored to have you here tonight, showing what Waldo Concepcion inspires. And Waldo, if he gets the slides up, I'm going to see if we've got the right thing. I think I've got the controller. I don't have anything on my screen, so I may have to lean over a little bit. So Waldo's been a very close friend of mine since 1989, and this is a picture of him that's relatively recent. But Waldo's history dates way back. He was born really close to where I grew up in Kansas, but he was born in Omaha, Nebraska. And I think we have a picture of him in Omaha, right? Yeah, snow. There's a big difference in where he then spent time. Panama, right, Waldo? Then Costa Rica, then Guadalajara, where he got a degree in biology at the Autonomous University of Guadalajara. Then came to Loma Linda, back to the U.S., and did a residency in surgery there, and worked in immunology, worked with a surgical team that did baby Faye with Leonard Bailey. So that was a major step forward in heart transplantation. He then moved to Pittsburgh, worked with Tom Starzl, who just passed away, and I think you wanted to have just a moment of silence for Dr. Starzl as a lead. Just have a moment of silence. And then Waldo in 1989, worked together at Cal Pacific until 1994. Surgical team and some of our medical team moved to Stanford, but we remained close friends, although we were in competition for a while. Frenemies is Waldo's favorite term. And I think we've got a few other pictures I wanted to go through. And this I thought was a little bit metaphorical, if I have the right one. And Waldo's chasing concrete things, but in this picture he's chasing butterflies. So it's, Waldo, we really appreciate your enthusiasm. And yeah, those butterflies end up being great rewards at some time in the future. Maybe you have just a few more pictures here, although I'm having a little trouble seeing. This is your family, right? You were about 4 or 5 years old. Panama? Costa Rica, okay. Still trying to learn all the history. Randy is here tonight. Randy works in Fresno and is an oncologic surgeon, trained at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Did I get that right, Randy? Randy's still here?
Yes.
Randy's in the back. Right. Hi, Randy. And his sister Isis, who's retired, who also was in anesthesia and in intensive care. Waldo is now the professor of surgery, chief of clinical transplant, and chief of pediatric renal transplant at Stanford. And I think we've got a few more pictures that are interesting. This is a picture back when we were all working together at California Pacific Medical Center at the base, I think, of Webster Street, and our transplant team back at that time, including Candy, who was one of our coordinators. So great history there. This is a picture of Tom Starzl, who just passed away this last week. Waldo flew on a red-eye to be at the funeral in Pittsburgh, which was attended by thousands of people, as I recall. Very, very big event. His parents, who have both passed away, who are inspirational as well. And if I can see, this is American College of Surgery, right? Waldo led me through this in a parking lot in Oakland last week, so I can get all these pictures down. Little younger picture here with his wife Rosie. Rosie, getting pictures, thank you. Inspirational. And the children, at least 2 of the 3 who are here. Zoe, Katie, want to stand up just for a second? All right. last year playing music and singing, I think, Christmas carols, right? That's what we were doing, so really, really nice. So, Waldo, you're a fantastic guy, and just a few more comments. Research and tolerance, immunomodulation, working with vital therapies. Terry Winters, who was here. Terry, you want to stand up just for a second? Bioartificial livers, still working on this for our patients, but we do need artificial livers, so the forefront right now with the phase 3 clinical trial that's present. Rosie's very inspirational, just finished her MBA and works with a company called My Channel and Optum Health. Great pianist. Waldo plays trumpets and, let's see, violin, as I recall, right? Little tennis and volleyball, and recently Waldo went with me to Vietnam. He's very interested in global health. It's very, very motivational to be with him, and the inspiration and bringing these Vietnamese physicians back to the United States for further training. European Society of Surgery is a transplant board and examiner for that organization. He went with me to Sacramento to work with Representative Hernandez and working on getting hepatitis C policy through the state government. I can't say we were successful, but at least we tried, and Waldo was there as a passionate person, has been back at least 3 or 4 times since then to work in Sacramento, which is very important. He's Associate Director at Donor Network West, and we have some of the team members from that organ donation and allocation program here. He gives lectures to patients' family about organ donation and healthy living en español. Es un idioma muy importante para los pacientes aquí. Waldo, muchas gracias.
Good evening. Such an honor to be here tonight. Such a great honor to be one of the honorees, together with Kimberly Popovitz and Mr. Fred Middleton. I feel humbled to be among giants, to people who contribute so much to this field. Sorry about my voice, but I hope I sound sexy. When I hear about this honor, and when they mention salute to excellence, it really makes you so proud, but also humble to know that at some point we contribute to the well-being of patients. I'm grateful for this honor, and most important, when we start working and reading the mission of this institution, the American Liver Foundation, let me repeat it. The mission of this is to facilitate and advocate and promote education, to support and research for prevention, treatment, and cure of liver disease. Soon as we hear these words, I bet that all of you feel a little bit inside here that pulls a string to say, I'm there. I'm part of that. If I'm not, I want to be part of that. And this is something that has value for us. Before I go any farther, I want to be grateful to my wife and my kids. Because along the way, when we develop our passion to make the human being better, you gotta give something up. The most important value that you have in your life is time, because time you cannot buy. So my wife and my kids give a little time of me from being the parties to be in the operating room, to be in meetings, to help alleviate the pain of patients. So for that, I'm grateful that you gave me that opportunity. I'm so grateful to Stanford University because it's a fruitful field. And like every family, it's not perfect, but you love them. My family is right here, all my Stanford family. Sometimes we don't agree, but at the end of the day, we're one team together with UCSF, CPMC, Sothern, everybody in Northern California, fighting for patients to have life that have liver disease. When all this happens, we want to know that we are doing everything with a purpose. I'm grateful for my great team of surgeons, hepatologists, coordinators. What I'm here is representing the effort of 25 years working with my team at different stages, with the passion for excellence, not just in numbers, but in outcomes that means life of patients. Special thanks I want to give to my Chief of Division, Dr. Carlos Esquivel, because he hired me not just once, He hired me twice and gave me the opportunity to develop my talents and my devotion, my passion into the care of liver patient. I would like to share a few minutes, I know it's a little late, of my journey, how I got here. My family, as you saw, my parents, they're from Panama, and my father was studying in Creighton, and I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. So if you're confused with my accent, it's from the Middle East, go big red. So my father was doing pre-med, and after a few years, decided to go back to Panama. And when we're in Panama, they live in the country, in the north part of the country called Chiriquí. But my parents had one thing: education is the way to make a difference in this world. So they moved to Costa Rica and then to Mexico to give their children the best education possible. Even at that time, with so much effort, they made it possible for us. One of the important aspects along the way is that you find that angel, that mentor, that makes you think that you can do something in life and change the course of some disease. I have the fortune in 1983 to work with Dr. Leonard Bailey. And talking about passion, he's a pediatric cardiac surgeon, and his passion became the treatment of hypoplastic left heart disease. If you don't know too much about it, just take this home. One heart has two ventricles, this heart has just one ventricle, and one doesn't work very well. These children, when they were born a few days after birth, they looked beautiful, normal. They were sent home to pass away in the arms of the parents because there was no solution. And the thought that he had is, why we cannot replace the heart? Well, a few problems. 1983 was no brain death for children. Number two, we did not do heart transplant in pediatrics. So what do you do when you have a problem? You go and work hard in the lab, not just you, find the best people in the field and work. My inspiration was not just a surgical technique, it's how to understand the immunity, of how can we incorporate proteins different in your body and be accepted. So I spent time in NYU learning about immunology on the baboon and the human, and eventually in 1984 in July 17, baboon to human heart transplantation was done on baby Faye. If you want to see a beautiful heart, that was one. Heart worked immediately, pump immediately, the kid was extubated, you name it, went well. But day 20 passed away because we didn't understand complete immunology. The game doesn't end when you have a failure. When you have a failure is when you push forward and you keep going forward, don't sleep, and you work until you find the answer. We continue working in the lab, and probably baboon hearts were not the answer. But 1 year later, we had the first legislation for neonatal brain death, that right now we do transplants on neonates using neonate donors. Something good came out of that effort. So my next effort was to be a heart transplant surgeon. I got my fellowship, and then I need to do a PhD in immunology because I need to understand the immune system. That's the key issue, the immune system. Technology, we have it. Technique, we get it. We can do all this. So I applied to University of Pittsburgh, and I was accepted to do my PhD in immunology. And by the way, you can also do a transplant fellowship. Wow, great. So in the first month that I arrived, I told Dr. Sarzo, there are a few things I need to tell you. I need to be an immunologist. I need to do a pediatric transplant surgeon. That's all what I care about doing. I said, it doesn't work like that. You gotta care for everybody, and you learn how to treat children. So in my 2 years of fellowship, I lived in the hospital taking care of children at the same time that I took care of adults. And the important aspect of that step of my life is that Dr. Sarzo never stopped. If you want to have a tough life, try the life of developing liver transplant. Your first 7 cases pass away, some in the table, other ones the next day. 2 years in the lab, working without stopping. July 7, 1967's first successful liver transplant. And from there on, we are here. Our life in Stanford has been very exciting. Because excitement in life is not just about doing transplants, what do you bring new? I still remember very vividly when we had our meeting and the heart team people came and said, you know something, we're having a problem. We have patients that have congenital heart disease. We can palliate them. It looks beautiful. But then when they're teenagers or early adults, they fail, the heart fails, but we cannot transplant them. You know why? Because there was cirrhosis. The liver gets scarred because of the pressure. What do we do? You cannot do heart transplant because you have cirrhosis. You cannot liver transplant because you have heart problems. How do you do? Guess what? That's why I have smart partners. Dr. Bonham come and say, well, why don't we do it all together? I said, why not? So working together with a team of cardiac surgeons, but the great thing about cardiac surgeons, they're small. We can work both on the same table at the same time, and we all fit. I'm a little wide. Dr. Bonham took care of the development, the technique of how to bring the heart and the liver together. We developed the technique of how to do the surgery together on the pump, simultaneous, with no complications. And together with the whole team here, this happened. So if you look at the literature, the survival rate of this surgery at 1 year, 60%. Our experience at Stanford, with the team effort of everybody, is 100%. Why is that important? I was just in Vietnam with Bob giving lectures in International Congress, and the team from Korea say, why didn't you tell us before? We have been trying to crack this nut for so long. Now the world has publications, the world has follow-up of how to do this. Now we receive calls from all universities around the country saying, tell us how to do it. We want to keep doing it because there are 100,000 patients that have palliative cardiac surgery that develop cirrhosis and eventually are going to need help. Share your knowledge. I'm excited about the future, most important because all of you here are for one interest. Knowing, first of all, what liver disease means for society. Knowing that we cannot do anything without being hand-to-hand with fundraisers, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, researchers, discovery, clinicians. We need to make that health available to all the population. Precision health will bring the knowledge to population to help prevent the disease. And when we start working all together, there's one transformation that occurs in all of us. We become blind. We become blind to skin color. We become deaf to accents from different people. We become completely indifferent to political parties. And we become caring for the patients that have these diseases. In this day and age that we are so polarized, so magnetized towards one side or the other one, American Liver Foundation is an example of how to stay in the middle, caring for the patient, whatever they are, whatever the immigration status is, whatever the disease is, alcohol, hepatitis, whatever it is, we care for that disease. That will be any other disease. That is what I'm proud to be here today. And to close, I want to tell you that through all this journey through treating liver disease and being with my team and going to communities, we are transformers. We are transforming to be facilitators for our communities to learn about health. We have been transformed to be advocates, to go to the legislation. I just want to give you a little secret. Legislators don't know much about liver disease. Honestly. Legislators don't know too much about per capita income in relation to medical care. They're depending on us to go to them and tell them, this is the information that you need to make plans. And it's up to us to take the authority and the initiative to go there and explain and sit down time after time for the benefit of our healthcare, our patients, our community, to get the results that we need. We become educators. We don't educate just the fellows, the residents, the PAs. We educate the world. We share the knowledge, not just to Vietnam. We share it to South America. We're now starting together with the team from Oregon, wanting to start in Nicaragua. Do you think that there's no liver disease in Nicaragua? Plenty. Educators of the world of what we have learned and help prevent mistakes on the healthcare. We become researchers. Do you have to go to the lab to be a researcher? No, you don't. Research means that you have inquisitive mind. Every patient is a laboratory. Track them, learn every experience, good and bad, pretty and ugly, failure, success. Track them and make your life better because of that parent that put their child in your hands, or that patient that put them their health in your hands. And most important, let's make our community an example of what we can be if we are good human beings, good practitioners, good heart to put in practice what good medicine is. It's an honor to be here tonight, and thank you for your time.